Hello everyone. So I'm in the process of building some fence line feeders for a customer. I'm having to do a lot of cutting and coping of pipe. I thought it might be a good chance for me to do a comparison video. So I use a chop saw. It's called a SteelMax, and it's a dry cut chop saw is what they're called. And I wanted to compare it to one of these older abrasive saws that we have here on the ranch and just kind of tell you guys what my opinion is on them and which one I think is best. Let's take a look at them, huh? So like I said, this is what I've got. This is the SteelMax 14-inch industrial metal cutting saw. And they use these dry cut blades. That's what they're called. I got a new one here I'll show you. And I really like these blades I've been using, these Diablo ones. SteelMax makes their own blades. They're a bit more expensive than these Diablo ones. I started using these ones not long after I bought the saw, and I've been real happy with them. So, and like I said, these are called a dry cut metal saw blade. And you can see they look almost just like a wood saw blade with the teeth. So I'm gonna put this new blade on just so you guys can see what a new blade does. Because this one, I've had this one on for quite a while. I bet I've had this one on for a year or so. I can make quite a few cuts with these Diablo saw blades. It's hard to know exactly how many cuts I make because I cut so many different types of metal. Because I cut a lot of drill pipe and it's pretty thick. And you know, I probably get, probably 200-300 cuts on the drill pipe. If you're cutting lighter material, I'm sure these blades will last you a long time. I don't know how many cuts, but I think it'll last you plenty long. Changing these blades are pretty easy. You just got this wing nut here that you take this little shield off with, and it exposes your bolt here. Then over here, it's got this Allen wrench that just stays in there and it fits right into here. And to lock the blade so it doesn't turn on you, there's this little push pin right here. You just hold it down. Yeah, just like that. Bolt comes off and washers. And here's the new blade. And just stick her back in there. Just do the exact same thing, just opposite direction. Hold your key down, tighten her down. Pretty easy to change the blade, pretty quick. So what I'm cutting here is 2 3/8 inch drill pipe or drill stem. I don't know what the actual name of it is. We just always call it drill pipe. But it's 2 3/8 inch outside diameter, and the wall is about 1/4 inch thick. So it's a pretty good chunk of metal there. So let's get a piece of pipe in here and I'll show you what it can do. So it cuts through it just about like butter. And the cool thing about this saw is, I mean, you saw me, I just went and picked this piece of metal right up. It's not warm at all. I mean, there's a little bit of warmth there, but it's not gonna burn you or nothing. Nothing like those abrasive saws. And if you can see, it makes a nice clean cut. And you got a little bit of, a few burrs on the edges here, but nothing too crazy. So to cut this piece of metal took me about 7 seconds. 7 seconds was all to cut this. Let's set up our abrasive saw and see how it does. So what I've got here is an old Milwaukee abrasive chop saw. So I know the comparison probably isn't going to be super fair because that chop saw there, that's probably older than I am. But the concepts are the same. It's an abrasive saw, so it's going to spin a lot faster than these dry cut saws do. So, and that's what I have to compare my dry cut saw to. So that's what we're going to have to use. recommend using one of these too whenever using these abrasive saws. I don't want to touch that one. Sure, it's flaming hot. Let's go see how hot it is. Pretty warm. Melted right through that snow. So it took me 1 minute and 40 seconds to cut through this using that abrasive saw. And look how jagged it is, where the bottom of that cut is. All these burrs, and it's not a clean cut. I can still feel a little bit of warmth coming from this piece of metal even after dunking it in the snow. And like I said, I know this probably isn't a super fair comparison because that saw is pretty old. I'm sure some of these newer abrasive saws would have cut it a lot quicker and a lot better. But like I said, the concepts are the same. And in my opinion, I think these dry cut saws are head and shoulders above these abrasive ones. So if any of you guys are interested in any of these tools that I used, like that, my SteelMax chop saw or those Diablo saw blades, I'll put links down in the description so you can check those out yourself and see if it's something you want to invest in. So like I said, I've sure loved mine. It's been a great saw. I haven't had any problems with it. I think I've had my SteelMax saw for seven years or so. Yeah, 7-8 years. That's how long I've had that saw for, and it's been a great saw. I guess the only downside about these dry cut saws is the blades are quite a bit more expensive than the abrasive ones, but they last a lot longer than one of those abrasive blades will. Another thing I like about this dry cut saw is, let's say your piece of metal is just a skosh too long, you're able to take a sliver off pretty easy. I'll show you here. So this saw, it's built pretty heavy. I believe it weighs close to 65 pounds. It's got a cast iron base, super heavy duty. And you got your angles back here where you can change your angle. Kind of same way as you change your blade, you just use this Allen wrench and loosen up this bolt and that bolt and just line up whatever angle you want. It goes up to 45 degrees. And you got your clamp here. Then they say to use this one when you're cutting pipe. They say it just grips it better. If you don't want to use that, if you're not cutting pipe, just push it back and get it out of the way. Then you just have a nice flat piece of metal to clamp your work to if you don't want to use the pipe attachment. I always seem to use the pipe one because I seem to cut a lot of pipe.